Hey, Tammy.
Hey Vince, how you doing? It's been a while.
Yeah, hasn't it? Um, just clean up the screen a little bit. Yeah, right. Yeah. So, why has it been a while? How's things been for you?
Um,
I'm not. I'm not asking you to justify it.
no, I've been on. It's just um I just haven't had a chance to speak to you because I had to get off after an hour or two each time, and it just
Right.
I didn't get
Yeah.
the chance to talk. Um, yeah, I don't know. Right now I got on early. I was hoping I could catch you, but I'm just really struggling, but I don't know if you could help. I don't know what to do. My mind
Well,
just
let's.
isn't stopping. I just don't know what to do. I'm really struggling.
So, tell me about the struggling.
Um,
That tells
I
me
just
about
feel,
how intense it is.
yeah, I don't really know what to say. Just, I'm not doing okay. I'm reverting to where it just feels uncontrollable, like not okay. Um, I don't know if it has to do with the summer making things worse in my system, but just, I, I don't know about signing my lease again. I'm supposed to sign again, and they haven't really been in touch. They're like, we should set up a meeting, but nothing happened in the last 3 weeks since she said that. And my leash is up at the end of the month. Um, and just the construction has started again. And I think things have gotten a bit worse with my sister. So I'm just maybe having less like positive, like human contact or people, and just feeling more alone with things maybe. And I've been trying to work on my mind because I feel it's so negative and I want to rewire and train the positive, and I'm trying all these different things to do that, but it just doesn't seem to be working, and it seems to backfire. And every time I try to like go into okayness, I'm just not sleeping well. I can't fall asleep till like 6 in the morning, 4:30 in the morning, and my mind is like obsessing about small things, like for hours, and I'm lost. I can't move forward. I don't know how to anything. I just don't know. I can't find my way out. I don't know what you could say, but I figured I'll ask.
Mm. Mm. It seems wrong for me to feel that this is a good thing.
I don't see how, but that sounds good. But I don't see it. But
And so, why would you imagine that I will have that kind of response? Why would I imagine that it's a good thing? Do you think? Just have a guess. I'm not. You don't know right or wrong here.
I know why, because you're very kind.
No, that's not just the right answer. Um, no, I'm talking about you. What do you think it is present in your situation that could turn that into something good?
That I can't hold on to anything
That
anymore.
was a
Like,
pretty sloppy way to put it. Yes, yes, exactly. You've reached a point where you're helpless, and every part of you is screaming to be in control.
yeah,
And you suddenly realize that evidence is showing you don't have control. But I'd hasten to add that you never did have control. You're not here because you lost control. You're here because of the way that you respond to circumstances. So I'll bet you with your niece and your sister, I mean, I say I'll bet, but I'm guessing that with them, you're taking it very personal. You
I
think it is
am.
about you that, yes. And can you see another
It's
possibility? We don't know, sir. It's not a personal thing. It's not about you. It's about them. Whether it's them responding to you or to other circumstances, it doesn't really matter, does it? It's in them that what they've expressed that you have taken per.
Vince, you're kind of going in and out. I don't know if I'm freezing or
No,
you're freezing.
yeah, and I just got a message saying internet connection's unstable. Just a minute, and I'll switch to another network. Oh, it's not there. There we go. So what I was saying, Tammy, was that when you take this personally, you react to that, and that's not what this actual situation is about. Them, not about you. They are the way they are for their own reasons. Whether those own reasons include you or not doesn't matter. That's the way they are. So their statement about themselves, you've taken to mean something about you, and which is very normal. I hasten to add, but not very adaptive. See, it's funny, isn't it? We think everybody's talking about us when they're saying you, but they're not. They're actually talking about themselves. They're talking about what they think or what they see, what they imagine, or what. So even if
Yeah,
they're responding to you, it's their response that you're taking personally. Do you get that?
kind of. But I guess something in me is just always like, if I just change a little bit, she'll finally be decent. And um,
You can
either my
keep
outlook has
changing
to
for a long
change.
time. Yeah, who knows whether that would be successful or not? It probably wouldn't be because this is another. It's the same kind of thing, about a bit further along. Something that we could take in as an unpleasant fact of life, but it's not. It's a freeing fact of life, and that is to realise that everybody always projects themselves onto other people. It's almost like another person is a mirror upon which we see a reflection of ourselves. And that's always the case, no matter how it's phrased, no matter what it is, whatever they say, they're talking about themselves. They're talking from themselves and in a roundabout way about themselves, even though they don't realize it.
It's just hard because she treats me one way when I'm alone with her and the kids, and another way in front of other people, and I just have to
Right.
take it. It's
So
really hard because I'm alone with it, and it's
yeah,
so
that's not the,
pretending, and I feel complicit. You know what I mean? Like,
yes, I do. I get what you're saying about that. Yes,
because I
that's how
can't
you,
call her out. I have to just go along with the fact that a second ago she was nasty, and now she's pretending, oh, hello. And I just have to,
yes.
I can't say a word because then it'll
Can you,
seem weird. Why are you?
yeah, can you imagine for a moment what might, and we would definitely won't say we know, but what might be the reason why she's different when you're alone and different when she's with other people? What do you think's going on for her at an unconscious level? I'm not talking about consciously planning to be that way. I'm just talking about a natural instinct that she's got. What do you think's going on? Why is she one way with you when you're alone, and another way when she's with other people?
Because she
I mean,
wants
you've
to
already
appear a
said it.
certain way to others. I just wish she would want to appear that way in front of me too. In other words, be civil to me as well. But anyway,
I suspect it's probably the other way around that you want. She's probably more authentic when she's with you by yourself, and when she's with other people, she wants to impress them, and so she puts on an act. She's more fake then. That's what I would imagine be the situation, but you've reversed that. You're saying you want her to be fake with you because she's stable. Am I getting it right or wrong?
yeah, I mean, she just it doesn't really she's just so it's just so unpleasant, and it makes me so sad because I just want that to work out. I want to have family. I want to have people that are okay. And I
Mm,
just anyway, they're the only people that are close by that are not on phone or on Zoom. And
mm,
so
mm.
I can't really accept that like she's not like that. So I just keep trying to change. I say, no, 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 it's just my opinion. It's just my outlook. I just need to change my
Yeah.
outlook, or if I just change my behavior, or if I just do this or that. Like there keeps on having this hope that things will be okay because the babies love me so much and because I love them and
Yeah.
they're my only family and people. And I just and then I go into, well, you're humiliating yourself by going there. You need to build a life. And I just don't feel that I can. And then I just collapse. I don't know what's up. My mind is just going crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I get that, and it will go crazy because it's an unanswerable question that it's grappling with. Yeah. So two things come to mind. One is essentially a lot of the conditioning that you got, she also got. She coped with it differently because she's a different personality and so on, but nevertheless, she still got that same stuff that you got, presumably brought up by the same parents.
Yeah.
And secondly, it comes to mind that no matter how you change, if she's projecting, she's going to see you the same way. No matter how you are, it doesn't matter how you actually are, because she's got her picture of who you are and how you are, and that's what she relates to all the time. So again, in both those cases, it doesn't make a lot of sense to take it personally, assuming we had a choice not to. But can you see that it's not personal? She is being the way she is. She can't help it.
Yeah, but the fact that she's that way to me and her kids and one or two more people, and she's different with other people is personal. Because to me personally, she's acting in that way. You know what I
Mm.
mean? But anyway,
So would you say I've got it the wrong way around when I'm saying I imagine that she's a little bit more authentic with you and more fake with others? And I mean, that as others would be in a social situation, I presume.
no, I mean, even others in the family. But although she's starting to do it in front of my parents also, they called me and they were worried about how she's yelling at the kids. So other people are a little bit noticing sometimes as well. In other words, she's not able to pretend as much even in front of other people, but
Right.
depends
So
who.
do you get what about that little bit of evidence that she's
Yeah.
like in front of your parents and in front of
Yeah,
you when you're not together? So it can't be you, can it? Isn't it? Isn't that suggesting that it is her?
I suppose. Yeah.
Oh, well, that's really reluctant.
Yeah, because I'm so in the hurt and in the
Yeah,
humiliation,
yeah,
the
yeah,
oh my goodness, and all,
yeah.
all of this. I'm really deep in that right now.
Right. Yeah, yeah, it's kind of a crazy one. I mean, it's like we don't want to give up the herd, even though it's painful. Yeah, I get that.
It's more that I don't want to accept the reality that she is like that. And if I think, oh, if I could just change, it'll change. Like I want to maintain my, I think it's probably a lot of conditioning. It was the same with my mother. I'm like, if I could just be a better person somehow or figure out the psychology of her, I could make her be nicer more of the time. I could ease her suffering so she'll be nicer. I could help more so she'll be nicer. Like this trying to figure it out and make me have the family that I want. But
Well,
it doesn't
good luck
matter.
with
It's
that. You die a martyr.
yeah.
Maybe
And
I'm
but
being a bit too blunt, but I am sympathetic, although I'm being blunt and confrontational. Essentially, change all you like, and they're not going to change. They'll still see you the same as they've always seen you because that's in their head. It's not got anything to do with who you actually are.
yeah, and so my mind then goes to, well, find other people, build a life, and I just feel incapable of that. And I'm like, okay, let me
Yeah,
move to Switzerland, let me move to Montana, and
yeah.
like find
Well,
some ranch and whatever. And I can't. I'm a mental mess. I'm a nervous breakdown waiting to happen.
right.
I
Yeah,
can't do
yeah.
anything in life. So I'm
Well,
left just here calling Vince and saying, Vince, what should I do?
yeah, I get that. Yeah, yeah. So it's a little early to move yet because wherever you go, there you are. So, if you were to move right now, you'd probably take a lot of this stuff with you. But the, just consider that if you were ever to find yourself in a new place, meeting new people, that you would have permission to be whoever you wanted to be. You would not be forced to respond in a way you always have. So there would be good value in that, but not just yet. Let's kind of get rid of some of this other stuff first. Yeah. Now, one of the things that is really important with all of this is for you not to say this proves that I'm a failure, or this proves that I'm going backwards, or this proves that I've lost something. None of those things are applicable to this situation. What frequently happens, and maybe or maybe not this has happened for you, is that as we get a little better with this stuff, we remove the lid off the pressure cooker, so to speak. Our filters are not as active, and so more stuff comes up that was kept at bay before. That's a possibility. I'm not saying it is the case, but it just could well be that that's the case. But it certainly doesn't mean that you've gone backwards just because you're experiencing some pretty heavy shit right now.
I guess I would just assume that when you become more spiritually whatever, you become more tolerant, not less. It feels I have less
Yes.
capacity to handle the lies,
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
BS, it's like, yeah.
Well, I suspect that's a good assumption, but there's an arriving. That takes a while for that transition to kick in, and in so doing, what happens is that we get confronted more with the stuff that was previously held down, and as a result of that, it's almost it's a I don't want to say it like you're a container that's got all this stuff in you that we want to get out of. It doesn't really work like that, but it's an analogy that might be useful, and that is that stuff that we've been avoiding, stuff that we've been holding down, because we get a bit stronger in ourselves, we can be a bit more relaxed. Then it comes up, and we're confronted with it. But every time we're confronted with something like this, it 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 weakens. Probably the frequency of it would be the main thing that goes down. One of the things I found was that the intensity went up for a while, and it's probably still up. I don't know because there's no holding it back. When it comes, it comes. So Whereas once upon a time it would have been, well, this is not right, so you hold it down. Now you go, well, here it is, cop it.
Mm.
Yeah. So the intensity doesn't prove anything. The frequency of it is what we want to look at, and especially the frequency of those moments when things are fine. We want them to become the normal. And in that normal, there will always be little spikes of things that will happen. But you're still at a stage where they're big spikes when they happen. But see, if you were to grok what I say about taking it personally and about other people projecting, if you could really get that, all of a sudden you would be freed from a huge amount of stress that you go through where you say, this is about me. If only I could change. If only I could be this way or that way. You see what I mean? That's you whip that horse up till it's galloping around like in a frenzy all the time. And if you just got the idea that no, it's not personal, even your thoughts are not personal, they just come and go because of circumstances. They're like the weather. They're not yours. They don't say anything about you. They just happen along with everything else. If you grok that, all of a sudden you're freed from all of this stuff in one big go. But even then, you watch, things will get triggered because they've been wound up years and years and years ago, probably, and they're just sitting around, so most things, once they get triggered once and get accepted and looked at without judgment, they dissipate and they don't come back. Right? The things that we push down again, yeah, they'll come back, and they'll keep coming back until we change our attitude towards them. Again, it sounds like I'm saying you've got a choice and you're in control and you can change your attitude. No, until that change happens. So I'm not suggesting at all that you've got to work at doing those things. And this is, of course, a big stumbling block for you, isn't it? Everything I
Yeah, I
say,
think,
I see as work, as a job to do.
yeah, and part of it is that I feel trapped. In other words, because I think I'm still trapped in this mindset of a child, I feel dependent on my family and I have to make it work. In other words, I don't feel I can create a different life or find other people. I feel
Yeah,
completely
I get what you're
trapped.
saying. Yeah, yeah,
And so my mind is like, just I go from one helpless thought to another of like, well, I
yeah,
can't do that and I'm not sleeping, so I can't have
yeah,
emotional
yeah,
stability, so I need to move, but I can't move because I don't have emotional stability, but I'm too scared and I have anxiety. It just seems impossible to and then I'm like, all of this, and then I hear another talk about it's all subconscious and running scripts behind you, and it's like it
yeah.
just seems impossible to ever break free and become just a normal stable person. And
Well, you'll never
just been
become a normal
reflecting so
person.
much.
I don't know about stable, but normal is a joke. There is no normal. However many
But
people in the world, there's that many unique experiences of being a human. So there's no such thing as normal.
just, clear and confident and not obsessing over tiny decisions
Well,
for like 17
not many
hours.
people are like that. Very, very few people are that way. You take most people and ask them how they really feel in a situation where they can be authentic and honest with you, and they'll tell you a whole lot of stuff that's going on. There's very few people that can say that they go through life relaxed. But I want that for you. There you go. That's a. But I'm talking about me when I say that. I want you to be so and so. I'm talking about me.
Well, yeah, I want that too. Talking about me. So,
Yeah. Yeah. And I guess at the moment, because of this stuff that's going on, the intensity of what's going on for you, you can't even remember those moments when you were relaxed and feeling somewhat clear about who you were. or who you weren't. However you like to say it. Yeah.
It just feels like I wish I could reprogram my brain like everyone talks about, but it's so focused on the negative and on indecision and on feeling trapped and not
Yeah.
seeing a way out. And I don't know how to make that
Yeah.
tipping point of turning it over.
Yeah. I get that. Yeah. Yeah. So I heard a quote somewhere once, and I'll butcher this severely, but basically what it said was to be to be aligned with a maladaptive society is no indication of sanity. Now that was really that was a wild paraphrase of it, but essentially what I'm
Yeah.
saying is it sounds to me like, and this is not a judgment, I'm trying to describe, and I don't feel bad about it, but I'm saying it sounds to me like you've got a fairly maladaptive family around you. You know, they've all got their own problems. Now, if you align yourself so that they think you're okay, that means you're going to be reflecting back to them their problems. And then they'll go, oh, she understands me, and they'll feel good towards you. You see, but that doesn't leave you in a really good place, does it? That leaves you being an expression of their problems, which are no doubt a version of what causes problems for you, of your suffering. But it's just their version of it.
They're more okay, They're married, they have families, they have like they're getting along, it seems. But
Yeah, you're describing them like that story you've got about them is just the way you see it, you know. I'll bet you they're married and they fight with their husband probably a lot. I'm only guessing. I don't know. But
yeah, I mean,
you see, you go, oh, they're getting along. And of course, that's the picture they would like to convey, that they're getting along. But I would say there's very little chance that either of them are calm and at peace.
mhm.
I mean, I don't like talking about other people like this, but essentially, what you're trying to do is be acceptable to people that obviously have their own problems.
Mhm. No, I hear what you're saying. That's interesting. Yeah.
So last I heard, what I seem to choose to remember about you is those moments when you say, "Oh yeah, I was feeling pretty good there for a moment." You know, I saw a dog and I didn't freak out, and things like that. That's what I remember about you. But I bet you're in this whirlpool that you're in at the moment. You don't remember any of that unless we talk about it like this. But essentially, it's not something that comes to you spontaneously, is it?
Yeah, it's more like, oh, sure, I had 5 minutes over there, but like most of the time, it's just not,
Yeah, yeah,
doesn't feel like it's becoming enough to be livable.
yeah. We can denigrate it fairly
Yeah.
easily. Yeah, yeah,
But yes, there are those moments where I mean, if I look back, I can
yeah.
sit in the forest and,
So
be
what
at peace.
hasn't happened for you yet that I would love to see happen is for you to look at what's different in your relationship with life, with the world, when you are in one of those moments. And if you can recognize it'll be a mystery. It won't be something you can write a story about. It'll be most likely just a kind of a feeling that you'll go, oh, something is different. And you kind of know that it is, almost know what it is, but not quite. But yes, you recognize, you acknowledge that something, that different way of breathing, that different way of looking at things, where your focus is. It's just really, really hard to pin down stuff that's not there at the moment when all this stuff is going on. I do
I had
wonder as I talk
a,
about it, if you can't feel a little bit of it again.
yeah, I had a moment like that um a week ago in the forest. I was speaking to a friend on the phone and I was burning hot. It was so hot. And no matter what I did, all my tricks of like, I wet my sleeves, I like do all these kind of funny things
Mm,
to stay cool in the summer. And nothing was working. And for an hour and a half, my body I couldn't sit down. Everything was hot. I was just struggling. Like I couldn't find rest for my body and mind. And all of a sudden, I just said, I need to lie down. And I just lay down on the earth on the floor, even though my shirt was wet and would get muddy. I just lay down and something released in my chest and I just laughed and my
mm,
breath was so deep and I just felt held by the warm ground. It was just, I could relax all the stuff. And after that, I had a few experiences of I'm always trying, my muscles of my body, Vince, are always tiny, tiny tense because they're avoiding, because I'm so sensitive to sounds and smells and noises. And I try to be a big girl and pretend I'm okay and I'm beyond that, but it
yeah,
doesn't
yeah,
matter. My body's bracing against life, it can't stand it. And then I had these moments where I was just open to all the tiniest vibrations, like even the Schumann resonance. And I was just,
yeah,
every tingle of the universe, I was able to be open to
beautiful.
it
Yeah.
and it was okay,
Oh,
but like
yeah,
it's like and I had a moment or two of that a few times since, but like it's so it's so tender or something, but it only can happen when it's I don't know
yeah.
something that
Don't
it
worry about
feels
that. So
yeah.
so get this. You don't know what brought it on. You kind of do, but you don't. You can't you can't grasp anything that you can repeat because it's too complex. There's too much going on that is whatever, but you know something.
But I also know, Vince, that it has to be so specific. No one was around that day. I had been hours in the
That's
heat. Like
their stories
it
you've
has to
added
be
to it.
quiet enough and safe enough and no people and the right weather
Yeah,
and the
yeah,
right this
yeah,
and the
yeah.
right that and a good friend and like
Yeah.
it has to be so many things for me to be at peace.
Okay, but
And
that's just stories you add to it that kind of make it okay, and then it's not okay at other times for the same stories. As soon as there are people around, you go, "Well, I can't do it."
or noise or
But
smells or
can.
chemicals.
You can, yeah. You can do it in the middle of the jackhammering. You can do it, but you don't know that until you experience it. So what I'm saying is, what actually happened in you, we can't specify, we can't describe clearly what it was. There's nothing to grab hold of that we can use as control to get it back. But something happened in you. It wasn't the environment that you're in that may have been helpful in the same way. Um,
It
well,
allowed
let's,
it.
let's put another way there. Yeah, it was you responding to the environment, right? So the environment may have played a part, but it happened in you, and it happened in you because we don't know. It's too subtle. It's too complex. Whatever. But we know it happened. There's no denying that it happened. And when
And
it
it
happens, okay, that can bring up stuff of its own. So it's even though that was really good, it may have brought up fear. We might get a little bit frightened about, whoa, if this was around all the time, I wouldn't be able to relate to anybody, or I wouldn't be able to do any work, or whatever. So that story then immediately kills it. What I'm saying is, it's never one thing. It's never straightforward. It's always a very, very complex situation. Being human is incredibly complex. The world is incredibly complex. Life is incredibly complex. So much so that we can't even possibly grasp a fraction of it, not even a little bit. But see, there's a beauty in that. As soon as we recognize that we can't grasp it all, we relax and we go, well, I can see bits. But after a while of that, you won't even bother looking at the bits. It'll just be the overall impression. And sometimes the old way will come up and be prevalent. And if we see it, that invites it to be different, and this other way can come in. So it's as long as you keep saying to yourself, it's the environment that allowed me to feel this, then you limit where and when you can feel it. But you
It's
see,
just,
I know you can feel it in the middle of the jackhammers. You don't. Well, actually, you did have an experience where you did,
yeah,
didn't you? Yeah.
a little
So there
bit.
you
I
go.
was,
Yeah.
yeah, but it doesn't seem like I can live in that.
No.
In other
Well,
words,
yeah.
in
You,
other words,
you can't. You can't. You're
I,
in
I
school.
can't
So, yeah.
override it. In other words, I can't, there's a limit to how much I can mind over matter it. You know what I mean? Like,
Ah, yeah, okay, I get that. Yeah, well, you're not mind over mattering it. This is not doing that. That's just a twisted version of control, isn't it? That's you're not doing that at all. What we're pointing to is as you experience something, whatever it is, good, bad, or indifferent, it changes you. And those good bits that you experience, they'll change you in a way that makes it more likely they'll come back again. And we just want that to build up to the point where it's the dominant thing. It doesn't mean the other stuff won't come along. It'll come along. But when you've got enough of the good stuff behind you, you're going to go, oh, here you go. This has turned up again. I wonder what's going on. And then with that, it's a way of looking at it. You'll go, oh, okay. And you'll find it changes. None of
right,
it's about control.
right. Except I guess I've been speaking to a few people, and some of them are about like, I don't know if you're familiar with all this stuff about like trauma work or polyvagal theory or somatic stuff. And they all say you need to be able to feel safe for the body to relax its armoring and tension.
Absolutely.
And
Yeah,
so
yeah.
one of them was saying, well, I don't know if I can work with you. I was going to work with them on something else. They're like, I don't know if I can work with you until you feel safety in the body. Your body needs to be relaxed. And how can you possibly have that when you live near a place where jackhammer can start up anytime, 24/7? Here it
Mm.
is from 12 a.m. to 4 a.m. and then you go to sleep at 6:30. You can't be stable in such a thing. And next door, your sister's nasty. And next door, in other words, she's like, you don't have any place where you can relax and feel I can relax here. And your
So
nervous system will
is it,
never be able to calm
yeah,
down.
okay. So you said earlier as a worry point that your lease is about up. Is that not an opportunity or a possibility you can move to where there's no jackhammers? I get that. I understand that will bring with it its own problems,
Yeah.
but that's one that could be a good thing about that your lease is up. Could it not?
Yes. I mean, it's been a debate. I mean, we kind of said that we're going to continue. We just haven't signed again, but it's been a debate because it just feels again like I anyway, it doesn't matter. There's a lot of, and it just feels like
Yeah.
I can't go anywhere else because they also have their own issues. There could be, loud, noisy neighbors. They could also have jackhammers, just not at
Oh,
night. It's not
yeah.
legal
And there's
anywhere. Then,
sorts
but
of stories. Yeah, sure.
so
Yeah,
I'm
there's
just
nothing much
there's
worse than a neighbour from hell, is there?
so there's always like a huge debate about can I find like this has everything that 30,000 things that I feel I really need. Also to feel safe and also to be able to be doable. It's near the bus stop, it's near the store, the sunshine, it's near my
Yeah,
sister.
yeah.
Like
Okay.
30,000 things that I feel like, oh my gosh, I need to stay. So I don't know if I have the emotional energy to try and move. And then if I'm going to move, should I already move country or move? You know what I mean? Like I
Mm.
go a bit
I,
wild in
yeah.
trying to figure it out. But
Mm. There's a lot going on, isn't there, all the time? And it seems like you're the one that has to weigh up the pros and cons of everything.
It just feels like I need this to go faster because I'm really stuck and I want to be wise about creating conditions that allow me to grow. And I don't know if what that is. And I don't know if I have the ability. Like, yeah, maybe don't live near a jackhammer, but I'm not sure
Well,
if everything else outweighs that or if I have
if
the
it's
mental
growth you're
capacity to.
after, if you want conditions to stimulate growth, you're in them. You couldn't ask for better.
Except all these other people say, your body can't calm down. If you are neurodivergent and if you do have trauma, you need quiet, you need sleep, you need safety. You're not going to be able to get better unless you have a place where you can have quiet and move
So
forward.
in
Um,
that instant, it was now going back probably quite a few months, but in that instant when the jackhammers were going and you felt okay about it, what happened there?
I
That
wasn't feeling okay, Vince. I was in intense stomach pain and the jackhammer was going and I had been awful. I was just able, the armor, like the contraction relaxed a bit. It wasn't
yeah,
like I
okay.
was now doing great, but I wasn't
It
in
wasn't
the
as bad as
intense contraction. Yeah.
so what happened? I want you to say I don't know.
Something released, and I don't seem to be able to control that.
Yes, right. Something let go, something released. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, it obviously wasn't the external circumstances that caused the release, was it?
It
Was
was, Vince, because I had spoken to you for an hour. So it was,
Oh, okay. But obviously, it was your response to what we were talking about or to what was going on. It was in you that it happened. See, it's amazing how you are really keen to take responsibility for all the bad stuff that goes on, but you're not willing to take responsibility for the good stuff. You want to give the forest or me the credit for that one. Is that interesting? I found that a bit interesting.
hmm.
It's almost like you choose to hold on to the heavy duty stuff, the bad stuff. Of course, it's not so. We don't choose these things one way or the other, but it's like that. It's almost like that.
Like, I feel like it's on me to like find Vince and find Forest and find what will help me. Like, you know what I mean? And I feel it's on me to turn my mind around because no one else is going to do it. And I met like high school friends the other day, and they're with their kids and their lives. And one of them is like this successful financial advisor, and she has like 40,000 people on her Facebook. And she's like, well, no one's going to come and save you. You need to be clear about direction and go forward with your work and whatever. And I'm like, yeah. In other words, it's like, it's all on me to turn my
Mm.
life around. I just feel not
Yeah.
up to the task.
Yeah. If you were her, that would be good advice. But for you, it's not, is it? It's in fact the
Sounds
opposite.
good. I just can't do it. But
Bad advice, encouraging you to think you've got control of things. See, she'll take credit for hard work and all of the stuff that she's done and say, I was successful. Well, that's the way it will work for her, but that's not you.
So what is me, Vince? What do I do?
I would say put 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 some effort into compiling a list of those good experiences that you've had. Write them down. Write down dates or whatever. It doesn't have to be accurate. Just as you remember them, write them down. I want you to start accumulating them. Right? You said something about feeling safe, and feeling safe is it's not actual. It's a story, right? Feeling unsafe, that's actual. Feeling threatened, feeling at risk, that's actual. But when you're feeling safe, you don't even think about it. You don't go around saying, oh, I'm safe, I'm safe. Right. So there's no such thing as feeling safe. That's just a story we use to describe a memory of some kind. But feeling unsafe, that can happen in the present. That can be definitely what's going on. Right. So what we want to do is feel less of the unsafe. And then we might get to be able to write a story about feeling safe, but we've got to be not feeling unsafe to be able to come up with a story about feeling safe. So if you were to accumulate those moments, even if it was on a bit of paper, right, write down that time in the forest, that time with the jackhammers, that time with this and that. Write them down and accumulate them so that they become emphasized, right? It's experience of not feeling unsafe that adds up to being able to write a story about being safe. That wasn't too obscure, was it? It was, eh?
I think I understand.
Mm.
I also had an experience, Vince, where I kind of like saw myself at a distance, just like the whole character and the whole, but there's just so much hatred and loathing of it. I'm just like, ugh, I can't stand it. It just, I don't know. I would think I would look upon it with compassion, but it was just like, is that where awakening is going? Of like just seeing the whole body mind
Definitely.
functioning and
Uh,
being just like, ugh, what is that? Who is that? Like,
but that's very, that's something on the way. Is once you recognize that there's self-loathing, then you go, oh, okay, and that can change it.
but
So,
that,
we might not experience the disgust of loathing very often because obviously it's pretty painful if it's self-loathing. But when you recognize that it is there, that gives it a chance to weaken, to lessen, to change.
but it's more about like in other words, seeing it at a distance. In other words, is that
Yeah.
what it's like that you just see it all like
Yes, there's an element
operating?
of that for sure. Yeah. So that distance, that for me, I would translate that distance into objectifies. It objectifies something. So I've occasionally said this one, but you may not remember or may not have heard it, and that is that there frequent realizations happen, and and because I'm thinking about it now, I'm looking around the room and I'm going, well, I can see a chest of drawers and I can see a table and so on, and they're no different than I am, or I am no different to what they are. Right. So there's this what I have is about a table is stories. I have a story that it's made of timber and that it's round and that it's got this kind of a support underneath it and so on, right? So I can tell stories about, but it's obviously the stories are a description of my interpretation of what I'm seeing. And then if I look at myself in the video here, it's pretty much the same thing, God, I don't even know that person. When I look at myself in the video, I think, wow, geez, your mouth moves funny, Vince, when you talk. It's like
Mm.
it's objective, there's no judgment of it as such. It's just I can't help it. Did I choose to look like this? Or did that just happen? I don't know where. Did I choose to have my voice sound like this? No. Did it just It's just the way it is. So it's no different. I am no different to that table over there. Yeah, that's so. So if that's the kind of thing you're talking about with that distance, then great. That's excellent. It's not actual distance. I mean, you're saying that you saw yourself as though you were not you looking at you, but you were seeing something or someone. Hey, is that right?
Just kind of having like looking at myself from the outside and just
Yeah, yeah, yeah. From the outside, yeah. Yeah. Now, wow, this is exciting stuff for me. If you can see your thoughts like that, right? Your thoughts are no different to the weather. They turn up. And one day they turn up, they're sunny, and the next day they turn up and they're rainy and miserable. The next day they turn up and they're windy. The next day, but they're always there and they never stop being different, but they keep on coming. But I didn't bring any of them on. I didn't say, I'm now going to have a thought about whatever. It just turns up. I know you've spent your whole life being brainwashed that your thoughts are yours and they represent you and you do have control of them. Well, that's the biggest load of bullshit I've ever heard. And people that would say that are probably the people that have least control over their thoughts.
I've just been really obsessing lately about like, do I return these socks to AliExpress? I can go on that for 7 hours, or
Yeah,
like
yeah,
small things, and like to not talk about the big things like
yeah,
the rent or work. But I get sucked into it. I don't just see. I like
yeah.
literally feel like everything is life or death, and I'll chat GPT it for hours straight, and I'm just like getting caught up in every single story like life or death, and I'm like, I don't know what to do anymore with myself. It's like
Yeah.
I tried to like do this meditation thing. I'm like, people have been telling me you should meditate even just 5 minutes a day. And like you have to like get in touch with your body and mind and come into acceptance. And
Yeah,
so
well,
I've
that's
been
something else for
trying,
you
but
to
I
fail
just
at. Yeah.
and way.
That's something else for you to fail at. Right.
So I'm trying and
I
then
I'll bet you 95% of people who meditate think they're not doing it right.
hmm,
I don't know that's true, but I'm guessing that that's the case, you know, because it's a weird one, meditation. It's like, okay, so what do we expect out of it? We expect to become calm and we expect to be able to stop our thoughts. We expect, what do we expect from, yeah.
yeah. And I feel like I'm not yeah, most of the time not able to do it, especially if there's a jackhammer or if I've been obsessing for hours already and then I try to
Yeah,
come to calm. But
yeah,
it just and just also what I told you about the forest Vince, that underlying contraction that I know is always there and I've been trying for years to solve it. I remember like 20 years ago, I lay on the floor for like hours, 5 hours once time to try and calm the body and try and feel safe and try and feel okay. And it took maybe 5 hours to unwind it. And then the doorbell rang and that's it. It clamped back up again with like an electric shock kind of speed. And it's
mm,
just like, it seems like it's just not going to feel safe. Like those moments of like letting go, I've been trying to do that for at least 20
yeah,
years, but much more. And like, it
yeah,
just feels like I'm not in control but I'm getting so
Right. So you're saying, you're saying I'm not in control, and I'm hearing really loudly and clearly that you think you should be in control. And I'm
Or at
saying,
least find the circumstances that allow it to happen, because it's just so much struggle and
well,
strife. I
we're just
can't
playing
stand
with
it.
words there, aren't we? Yeah. So, right. So if you control the circumstances, then that might allow it to happen. Yeah.
Yeah.
So there are techniques, and meditation is one of the techniques, and it is quite a good technique. If we, especially if we come at it with the right attitude. And another technique that you might find useful is splash cold water on your face. It's pretty amazing what that can do for you.
Hmm.
But another really good exercise, a good technique, and these are just techniques to take the crisis out of a moment, right? Is you run through the senses and you go, one thing I can hear, two things I can see, three things I can feel. It doesn't matter which senses you do that. Four things I can smell. Maybe you should start with one thing I can smell, whatever. But you just look for activating all of the senses one at a time in such a way that you're immersed in the job of doing it, and that will relieve a whole lot of the stress stuff that we've got. But that's just a technique. So there's no long-term answer in that. We're just trying to escape the very peak of panic, if you like. The fundamental thing is that you take things personally that are not personal. Now you'd say that, am I saying don't do that? No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying recognize it when it happens and it will change. But I'm not saying you have to do it. I'm not saying you have to recognize it. I'm saying invite the possibility of recognizing to occur. That's all. And I'm not even saying do that. So as far away from that as we can get is you having control of anything, doing anything, right? But by talking about it, we open up possibilities. That's all. But
I,
no matter what I say, you're going to interpret it according to what you know so far, what your experience allows you to, the way you interpret things because of your experience, because of your DNA, everything like that is involved in that. So there's no control, there's no choice. And I say again to you, patience is really good if we've got patience, if we can just go, okay, we just have to allow this to seep in, and it'll go as fast or as slow as it goes, and we can't really control that. So if you, for example, if I was in your situation, yeah, this, who knows, but I'm imagining myself in your situation and the jackhammers start up and I go, oh, great. Now I've got a chance to see if I can be relaxed while that's happening. But I don't imagine that's what you'll do.
it's more like it's not happening. The body tenses up and the mind goes crazy, and I'm not able to stop it. And then I go crazy about not being able to stop it, and then I get in total despair about my life.
Mm,
That's the spiral that
mm,
happens
mm,
presently.
yeah. And the sound of the jackhammer is the first arrow, and all the others are second, third, fourth arrows. Yeah.
Are they though, Vince? In other words, just so many people are telling me like that they wouldn't be able to live with this and that there's no way I
Well,
could get
that's
better.
right. Don't listen to them. No, that they're talking about themselves. That's okay. They're not talking about the situation. if they were on the same path as you, they wouldn't be saying those things. But maybe what they're saying is, we get you, Tammy. Maybe they're saying, I want you to like me, Tammy. Maybe they're saying a million different things, different possibilities. Right? But, how do they know they wouldn't be able to live? Right? What they're saying is they're reacting to their interpretation of your story. And it may be a pretty accurate one where they're saying, no, I wouldn't be able to live like that. Or maybe they're saying, I wouldn't tolerate it. Or maybe they're saying, I don't know, it could be any number of things.
They're
They're
saying you
talking
can't
about
calm down
themselves.
physiologically. Like it's not possible to, calm down when you're there and you need to, be in a place that's different and with people who are different and with noises that are different. Like, but I don't know how to make all that happen. And then I just
Right. Okay. So what about this one? I don't, well, we'll see whether you'll do it or not. But next time you find yourself feeling where your body is taken over like that, go and have a cold shower.
yeah, like physically break it. Yeah, I hear you.
That will shift everything, out of the mind into the body. As soon as that
Yeah.
cold water hits you, especially if it's cold enough to give you goosebumps, you won't be thinking about anything except that cold. And, and that'll be a break. That will break that'll break that cycle for you. Maybe you don't have to get naked and get under a cold shower. Maybe you could just splash water on your face. It might do the same thing. I did read somewhere something about the effect of cold water on the face being really beneficial in that way.
Mm.
Worth a try. And even if you then go, well, that didn't work, so maybe I need to get under a cold shower. Just the thought of getting under a cold shower is gonna
Yeah.
is gonna have a physiological effect on you. Yeah. When you think about really doing it, your body will feel the cold before you even turn the tap on. It's yeah.
I don't know, Vince. It just feels like I'm just in non-acceptance and resistance of life on a physical level and on a mental level and a
Mm,
fear. And I just I'm not finding rest and it worries me because I'm not sleeping enough and my mind isn't at rest and my body's not at rest. And
yeah,
I
yeah.
don't see any comfort coming. It just seems everything is more bracing and fear and indecision about whether to move or not. And just,
Mm,
I don't know how to, I don't know. What can I do? What can I do to, on a bigger level or on a smaller level? What do I need to do? I'm just stuck, it feels like.
yeah. Find someone to hug.
Yeah.
I don't know where these things come from, but if I were there, I would give you a hug, and we could get really nice and quiet in a hug. Yeah, especially one that lasted about 32 seconds.
But it was counting.
Well, most hugs last for something like about 6 seconds.
Mm,
So if you can extend it longer than that, things happen big time. Yeah.
yeah.
And what you said earlier, your way back, where you said about what you want from your family, that closeness, again, it's really not got anything to do with other people. It's in yourself. But if you just can find somebody that that is spontaneously huggy and give them hugs every time you meet them, changes lots of things. That's big time. Yeah. I know it sounds frivolous, but it's not. It's quite a big thing. Yeah. You don't have any animals there, eh?
No.
No cats or dogs? I don't know about your circumstances, but having a, 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 a very friendly dog would change your life.
In what way?
Well,
It just feels like giving up on
spend
people.
you spend about most of the time that you're now spending inwardly, you would be looking outwardly.
Mm-hmm.
All of a sudden,
Mm-hmm.
you've got somebody else's welfare and so on. Things that it is a really, really big thing, you know.
Yeah.
And you'd be amazed at how much companionship a mute animal could bring to you.
Just feels like giving up on people. But
Well, yeah. So in the beginning, right, it will be like giving up on people, but that will change. So after you stop blaming them for what goes on in you, you'll transition through to somewhere eventually, somewhere where you have great compassion for everybody else. So it's not like you're giving up on them. It means that you stop judging them, but not because you stop it. It just won't happen anymore
hmm.
because you kind of start to recognize the same in you as in them. You're their version of course, and your version, but nevertheless, the fact that stuff is always going on for other people and they've got a history too. They've got all this stuff that they've learned to respond to.
So if all the responses are happening in me, what do I do about them?
Welcome them, accept them, allow them to go, allow them to dissipate if they want to. But see, the responses in you is, bear with me how I put this, I don't know a better way. It's you looking after you. Even though those responses are really shitty, they're your best attempt at looking after yourself.
You
And
mean
you
anger and
get
sadness?
educated to do these really weird things yourself. Well, they're not weird, they're normal. But
Mm-hmm.
you've been educated to do those things. That's how you've responded. And you've been doing that way since you were a young girl, probably. Only they've got worse. They've grown and they've accumulated. Yeah.
Mm.
So it's not a case of stopping them, not a case of changing them. We want that to happen. Of course we want that to happen. But put that in the background and just look at the details of what is going on. And if you can get the difference between what is conceptual and what is actual, if you can really grok that, that's another big potential portal, a big doorway that you can go through. So if I say this one, and I'll say I sound categorical because I have a story that it's true, and that is all suffering comes from the mind, not the body.
But what I'm hearing, Vince, from a lot of different things is especially with neurodivergence, especially with trauma, especially with sensitive systems, noise is like an assault because
Yeah.
to other people it's something, but to you it's like getting hit with a
Yeah.
baseball
I
bat
get
or
that.
an electric
That.
thing.
Yeah.
So I don't know what to listen to because, in other words, they're they're saying it's physiological and my body's going to respond to it. And
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So, all right. Here's a good story. I went this morning to a hearing aid place because I haven't been wearing my hearing aids for about the last 12 months because the dog chewed one of them up and whatever. Anyway, so they did tests and definitely all my higher frequency hearing is gone and whatever. And she put these hearing aids on me and then we went for a walk out into the mall. It was a shopping centre where the office was. And I could hear everything. I could hear stuff that I didn't even know existed. There was music that I don't know where it was coming from, and all these people talking and all sorts of sounds that I could hear, you know. And when she told me the price, I nearly fell over and I took them off and gave them back to her. And as soon as I took those hearing aids off, life got a lot more pleasant. Wow.
hmm,
Right? I just wasn't hearing all that stuff about. And then she explained to me quite clearly, and I get that the part of my brain that used to cope with high frequencies, it had just unlearned it. It didn't know how to do it anymore. And so all of those sounds, they were very unpleasant for me to hear.
hmm,
And when I didn't have them on and it was muted, it was much more pleasant. Right? Now, would I not wear them because they were unpleasant? Or would I give my brain a chance to readjust and relearn how to cope with those sounds? It was easier. I had an excuse and I wasn't going to pay $8,000 for a set of hearing aids to do that. So, I got an excuse to stay with what's more pleasant. But I will follow up on something and I will do something about it. But what I'm saying is, with all of this stuff, your brain needs to learn how to live in the new world. And that takes a bit of time. It doesn't happen instantly. So I would put up with those sounds in order to be able to hear things that I now miss. My wife gets sick to death of me saying, what did you say? Say it again. Or, I want the
hmm,
subtitles to watch that movie or to watch that series.
hmm.
She doesn't read the subtitles. I read them all the time. So frequently in a movie, she'll say, well, what did I say? And I can tell her because I read the subtitles, but I didn't hear it.
Hmm.
Yeah. So we've all got our own thing. But what I'm saying is that for you, it's particularly relevant that a new way of being is going to take some getting used to. And it is happening already. Just at the moment, or before this meeting started, you might have said, well, it doesn't feel like it's happening. But it is happening in spite of the fact that it's seemingly taking forever and seemingly you can very quickly get to stories where nothing's any good.
Yeah, because I have those moments where I feel things release or I'm able to be calm in certain situations or whatever, or feel, safer than I have, or, but but
Yeah,
I've
but
been just
I know
so
the but. Yeah,
crazy so much of the
yeah.
time. It feels like I'm going backward. Like it doesn't feel like I'm moving forward. And I don't know.
Mm,
I guess I thought that maybe somehow would be able to jump steps or something. In other words, like, when we started the conversation, I said, I'm feeling like there's no place that I can rest. There's no place that I'm having control. I can't rely on my family. I can't rely on my brain to not
mm.
obsess. I can't rely on anything. I thought, I don't know, can we just like jump forward and get me to peace or awakening or something? I don't know. Can we just jump
Uh,
steps because I'm mired
you,
in suffering?
you can't believe how much I'd love to just give you a pill and say, here you go. That's done. Doesn't work like that though. So how are you feeling right now compared to before the meeting started? I'm not, I,
Wait, I lost you, Vince. I don't hear you
I'm
anymore.
not
I don't
asking
know
for
what you
specifics.
mean.
You
Oh,
notice asking you how you feel now compared. Oh, okay. Right. What about now?
say something.
I'm saying something now. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. How are you feeling now compared to how you felt before the meeting started? Is there a difference?
A slight difference. They're still screaming inside,
Yep, yep.
screaming in the body and the mind, like,
Yeah,
and it feels like it's gonna take over the second I hang up. But
yeah. But there is a
but
slight difference.
definitely better. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
So can you really get that it's something in you that was responding to the circumstances that this meeting is that had something to do with that difference, that slight difference.
Something in me is responding to this call and it's creating a difference.
Mm. You don't have to know what it is, just that something in you has been affected in some way by your current circumstances.
Yeah. But then if we say I'm affected by circumstances, then it means I need to move to Switzerland and find nice people. In other words, it means that I need to find the perfect circumstance.
Yeah, but I wasn't saying that just like that. I was saying something in you responded to the circumstances. And what you said was, oh, the circumstances did it. But I'm saying, no, it's something in you that interpreted the circumstances in the way that it did that did it. Something in you, nothing outside of you, nothing to do with the circumstances. It was your interpretation of the circumstances that responded to the circumstances, your interpretation of the circumstances that had the effect of something being different.
Mm-hmm. And then I just feel like a failure that I don't know my own switches and I can't make this happen more. You know what I mean? Like, why don't I know myself and be able to get out of freaking suffering? Like,
Yeah, yeah. Well, because you
feel
can't.
so stupid, but
That's not the way things work. That's just the way we were told things work.
yeah.
But it turns out it's not like that at all.
So how do things work, Vince?
Ah, I have no idea. It isn't well, that's great. I think that's fantastic. If I had to know how everything worked, I'd be like you. I would never have any rest. I am so relieved that I don't have to know how things work. I know that they do or don't, however you want to put it. The do or don't is really a story that I add to what's going on. But the complexity of life is way beyond my ability to say it's this or that, when in fact it's this and that and a whole lot of other. And I don't even know about all of that. That's too complex and too far away for me to grasp. You see, can you get a feeling for the relaxation involved in not having to know? Gee whiz. I wrote I wrote something like this today that one of the problems with those who are not yet awakened, one of the big problems, one of the key characteristics of those who have not yet woken up is that they think they know. No, next time I get to talk to somebody who's awake, I'll ask them if they think they know anything, but I'll bet you they say no.
Hmm.
I feel I feel really grateful that I can't know, and recognizing that I can't know means I give up. I don't want to know. And then I don't need to know. Rocking in the bosom of life. I think
So what is
I'm
that like when I have to make a decision about do I stay here or not?
no,
When
you don't
it's
have to
like
make that decision. See,
when I go, should I go to my sister or not? Should I return the socks? In other words, when I'm
yeah,
confronted with decisions, how do I navigate them?
right. Okay. Well, I can tell you how I do, or I can tell you what happens. See, I don't navigate. Right. If I'm kind of moving through the day, metaphorically speaking, and a decision, do this or do that, turns up, guess what? I don't have to make that decision. Life will do it for me. Now, one of the things was, I had to go to the audiologist this morning about my hearing aids, and I had a 10:30 appointment. And I thought, well, as that's not far from Aldi, I'll just go to the shop on the way and I'll get a couple of things that we need. And I went to the shop, and my bloody token wouldn't work for the trolley. So I had to muck around anyway, it turned out that after I did the shop and I'm walking towards the audiologist, I had 2 minutes spare to get there. And I walked in exactly on time. And yet 15 minutes before that, I thought, I should have left earlier. I didn't leave myself enough time to do all of this. But because I saw that I had no time, hurrying up happened and I got there on time. But you see, I didn't have to make any decision. Right? So before I left home, I figured, oh well, I've got a 40-minute drive in front of me to get there. Right? So therefore, if I've got the appointment at 10:30 and I leave around about 9 o'clock, then I'll have time to get there, do some shopping, and go to my appointment. Well, as it turned out, because I don't even remember what I did. I mucked around a bit, and I didn't leave until about 20 past 9, right, which meant that I had to get there, a 40-minute drive, and do the shopping and still get there by 10:30. But it all worked out. I didn't have to make any decision. And I didn't feel bad about it. I didn't beat myself up. If I'm going to be late, I'm going to be late. What are they going to do? Say they're not going to see me if I'm late? It's like I work to get to the doctors on time every time I go there. And I get there on time and I sit there and wait for half an hour every time. So it's just you don't stress about any of this stuff. Life takes care of it. You will learn how to look for the cues, and one of the cues this morning was the clock and the calculation of how long it would take to drive, etc. And even though I miscalculated, everything still worked out fine.
Mm,
But it's not to say it always does. And if it
yeah.
does, I don't feel apologetic. I can't control life. It just happened the way it happened. I can say I'll try and do better next time. That's a story that turns up, and it might turn out that I do learn a lesson from that, and so next time I'll give myself more time. But you don't have to make a decision about returning the socks. I would use cues.
Or
So
about the rent or visiting my sister,
yeah,
things that are bigger, like
Yeah, well, if I'm about to go out and I see the socks sitting there, that could be a cue for me to return them, pick them up and do it. Right? Do the same with the rent. Like if you find yourself doing banking, then maybe it's time to do the rent as well.
No, it's more about the decisions, Vince. It's like, should I return the socks? Should I move house? What will be better? Should I
Mm,
humiliate myself and go to my sister again? Like all these things just spin and turn into huge emergency
yeah,
stories.
yeah, yeah. So obviously there's a bit of learning in front of you, a bit, if this does take for you to work out how is in what form will the messages turn up that life is offering that would have been once a decision to make. So for example, the rent comes due and you pay it, you go, well, I just paid what, a week's rent or a fortnight's rent or a month's rent, whatever you paid, right? Then that decision doesn't need to be made.
No, it's about deciding if to stay another year. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, say another year. You say another year. That's a big one, isn't it? Will you stay another year? Because he signed a lease for 12 months, I guess. So if the lease is coming up, right,
Yeah.
now's the time for you to consider it.
Yeah.
How do you consider it? Well, you're walking along the street and you find yourself standing outside a real estate office, and you might go, well, here I am. I'll just look at what's available for lease. Or you might find that you're reading the local newspaper and you come to the classified page and you see house for rent or unit for rent or whatever. So those are the cues that life will offer you that you might not have noticed if you weren't looking for them. But once you
Yeah.
sign that lease, if you sign it for another year, even if you were reluctant about it or you didn't know whether it was the right thing, but you sign it, well, you're committed. So you can forget about this whole moving thing for another year or till, well, another 10 or 11 months anyway. But if you haven't yet signed, then maybe now's the time to be a wake up to possibilities that come along. So whether it's online realestate.com or whatever that you use to find a place, a possibility, look at that or not. Look in shop windows or not. I mean, if you look in a shop window, they're likely to be doing places in the local area. If you look online, then your possibilities can be further out. All sorts of things come to play. But life will offer it to you. You've just got to be awake up to the cues.
Yeah. Rather than sit and obsess at home about it.
Mm. I mean, I can imagine that if you did move to a place that was nice and quiet, there would be advantages and disadvantages. If you stay
Hmm.
there are advantages and disadvantages. Nothing's black and white.
Hmm. Yeah, that's what it feels like. It feels like nothing's going to be perfect. And then I just get really hysterical because
Mm.
I want to give myself the best chance to be okay. And I don't know what that
I
is.
know
So
that.
every
You
decision feels like
you are already doing your best at that. That's true. Even though it turns up, all this shitty stuff turns up, that is still your best at the moment.
anyway, it just feels like everything's an emergency because I don't know how to get myself better. And so
Mm.
anyway, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it does matter, but yeah, I get it. Yeah. And that state of can't escape, that state of no possibility, don't know what to do, has an incredibly intense suffering attached with it. Yet it can be the best thing that could happen to you in as much as it can mean you just suddenly grok that no, there was no control in any of this. All of a sudden you go, oh, I give up. And then life guides you. And if you, again, noticing the difference between what is actual and stories is a really, really big technique for you. It's like the cold water on the face or the cold shower. It's a technique that can help you depending on what circumstances you're in. But recognizing that all of your suffering comes from your belief in thoughts. And it's true that you want your nervous system to calm down, and that's physical. But it is the way it is because of your thoughts, not because of anything physical.
That's where I'm not sure, Vince, because everyone is telling me I need to be around nice people and around quiet, and that I'm making the wrong choices in my life, and that's why I'm responding to them. In other words, and if I figure out the right choices and the right circumstances and don't hang around nasty people and don't hang around jackhammers, that I'll be okay. And I don't know how to create that, and then I get frantic.
Mm.
But if you're
Yeah.
saying it's only my thoughts and I can be fine even with a nasty person next door who I would love to act like family, but that happens 10% of the time. And even okay with jackhammers from, midnight till 5 a.m. and then I go to sleep at 6:30 for 4 hours. If you think that I can be okay with that, I mean, I would like to think that, but I just don't know.
Mm. Well, it certainly is possible that you could be okay with all of that, but it's not something you're going to do. And knowing how to get there isn't something that's going to pop up either. It will happen or it won't happen. But I'm seeing evidence that it will happen.
All right. And should I forget about trying to meditate, or what instruction would you give me moving forward to I don't know,
Well,
to
again, it's a
practice
matter of
this?
looking for the cues that life offers you. So one of the things that
Yeah.
one of the cues that is very prominent here is a story that will turn up. Now, it's different to that there is a story and what the story is about. It's that the story turned up. So if I suddenly I was walking across the room and the idea to meditate came to me, I would take that as a cue to meditate. Now, if all other things being okay, I would meditate. But if I think of meditating and I feel uncomfortable, I probably wouldn't.
Hmm. So take things
But
lighter and go with the flow.
yeah, it's not a matter of making a decision. It's a matter of recognizing the cues that
Hmm.
will replace this illusion of decision making.
Hmm.
Because even with when we're lost in the delusion that we're making decisions, that we have a choice and we can control things, we look for evidence to support that. And we tell ourselves a whole lot of stories that add up to that evidence.
But then why do people say make a meditation practice and it builds on itself and you have to do it, and like it retrains the brain and it retrains the nervous system and you get to awakening like that? In other words, it sounds like it's very structured and maybe we should do it. I don't know.
Yeah, yeah. And it's been around for eons, hasn't it? That stuff, yeah. And, it suits some people.
Mm-hmm.
And those who it suits are going to be out there promoting it big time, probably.
Mm-hmm.
But you never hear for the ones that it doesn't suit.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. I think meditation can be good. It can also be destructive. It depends on how you see it. So one of the main thing with meditating, that's a big one, and it's a bit of an overshadow, is to say the point of meditating is to realize that there's nobody sitting there meditating. But see, when we use that word meditation, it sounds all good and wonderful, doesn't it? But what form of meditation do you use? Do you sit there and recite a mantra? Do you sit there and watch the breath? Do you watch your thoughts? Do you look at the space between your thoughts? Or do you just watch whatever turns up or not? You could, a million different versions of meditation.
Mm-hmm.
Who's to say one is better than the other? For some people, reciting a mantra is the way to go. For others, watching the breath. For somebody else, it's probably better they don't meditate. It's
Mm.
it it you know, it's very personal.
Mm.
As soon as you think, see, this is a big one. As soon as you think, oh, if I do something, everything will be okay, or whatever version of that. If I do this, I'll get calm. But uh, it, they don't work. I'll guarantee you they don't work because they're not touching the underlying thing. And the underlying thing is habit. And it's habit of seeing the world, seeing what goes on in a certain way. And almost certainly that's going to be through the lens of stories that give it meaning. So I remember once before you asked me for homework and I said, look for stories that give meaning to things. Did you do much of that?
Probably. I usually do your homework, but I guess lately I've been doing a
Mm,
lot of meaning. So,
yeah. So when you did that, obviously it didn't quite get you to the point of recognizing that those were the stories that caused problems.
mm,
Which doesn't mean anything about right or wrong, about whatever. It's just there was a possibility to get into a portal, a possible
mhm.
portal for you to move through.
In other words, you think it's habits of thoughts like taking it personal, how my sister behaves, or taking
Absolutely.
it,
Yep. Yep. Yep.
that
And
that's
it's
causing suffering.
yep, taking it personally. Yeah. Yeah. And we do. We fall into the habit of doing that kind of thing. But we not only do it habitually, but we look for confirmation that it's right. And we find it because we look for it.
Yeah, or that I'm failing life, doing everything wrong. There's a lot of stories.
Mm, absolutely. And so, again, with the stories, it's like we can easily fall into the idea that we've got to stop those stories. Well, we can't. They turn up, they turn up. They happen, they happen. That's it. But what we do, we see it, it's even wrong to say it like this, but it's you'll get it. And that is, it seems like we have a choice to manipulate our relationship to those stories. So when we recognize that it's a story that we're responding to, that in itself will change the way we respond to it.
Hmm.
We don't have to do it. We don't have to control anything. We don't have to force anything, push it this way or that way. It's just the possibility of it happening is there because we've spoken about it.
Yeah, I guess I just been feeling like I can see my patterns. I'm seeing it all happening, but I'm powerless to stop it. And that's, I guess, where I've been stuck lately.
Mm, mm, mm.
All right. I guess I'll just keep trying. I don't know. I don't know.
See what happens.
Yeah. Thank you,
Yeah,
Vince. I appreciate it very much.
no worries. Oh God, I wish I could give you that pill. Yeah.
Mm.
Hi, Vince.
Howdy, Jenny.
I'm so lucky I caught this meeting. I'm just
Yeah.
getting to work.
All right, just going to work, right?
What's that?
You're just at work now, are you?
Yeah, I just got here. What time does this meeting start? Or
An hour and 40 minutes ago.
oh, okay. Huh. Really intrigued with I'm glad I just the whole life presenting you as things just made sense to me this morning. I was sitting in my chair having my coffee and I thought, I wonder if there's a meeting on. And there you are. I couldn't believe it. It was such just I've never thought of it before, but it just boop, there it was, right? And
Mm.
that's what you mean about what life presents you with, right? Okay. Because I had one shitty fucking day yesterday, I'll tell you that. Horrible.
And what did you learn out of it?
I don't know yet. But I don't
You
know
can
where
say nothing. You can say you didn't learn anything.
I learned that I was really unhappy. And it's kind of carried on in today. I didn't expect it to, but it has.
Mm. So would you say you're unhappy because you had a shitty day, or you had a shitty day because you're unhappy? Or maybe it's not cut and dried like that.
I don't think it's all mine. I just felt really like despair again. Like the whole death thing is just really creeping up, bugging me a lot. That's all.
What, your own death?
Yeah. And family and others. Yeah.
Can you name me one person that's dead and is worried about it? Right. So what are we talking about with death? Are we talking about the dying act, approaching it? We're certainly not talking about after death, are we? Oh, unless we're talking about other people, not the dead one, but the people who miss the dead one. That's
More
mm.
more so the uh not existing anymore.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, I can't say categorically, but I'm rather imagining that those that don't exist anymore don't give a shit about it. So it's not the idea. It's not the fact of not existing anymore, but it's the concern about something now. I kind of have trouble. I'm kind of play acting a bit here, but I'm truly puzzled by what is it we're actually worried about not existing anymore. We're not saying when I don't exist anymore, things will be bad. We're saying now I'm thinking about not existing anymore, things are bad. So what is it? What is it about it? About that?
I don't know. I don't know how to, I don't know.
Yeah,
I,
good,
it's
good, good,
just
good,
like
good, good.
fear comes up, the feeling it like nauseating and dread
Mm.
just from the thought of not being here and missing my family, or if they're not here. I don't know.
Yeah. Okay. So what an interesting situation here. That we've got this wonderful puzzle for you to work out. What is it you're actually responding to? So it's the same technique that you can use for lots of things, and that is look at the details.
Okay.
So when we say, "Oh, not existing anymore," and I feel nauseous, it's like, okay, well, that's the whole story, but it's not. There is something you're responding to within the idea of not existing anymore that you're not aware of. And when you do become aware of it, it'll probably change. But nevertheless, you're most likely got a story going about something pretty horrible. And your way of keeping away from that story is this feeling of nausea, this feeling of discomfort. It's unpleasant. And of course it wants to keep you away, doesn't it? And it's very successful at keeping you away from the details. But while ever you keep away from the details, it can have this big, heavy feeling.
Yeah.
As soon as you start looking at the details, it gets hollow. Oh, you go, okay. Well, obviously, when I'm dead, I'm not going to care. So it's not that. And am I thinking about having a horrible time dying? Is it the act of dying as I go from healthy to dead? Well, you'll know pretty quickly if it's that, but maybe it's not that, right? Maybe it's that people will miss me. I think, oh well, some might, but others won't, or they'll miss me for a while, but then they'll get over it. Right? It's just the way it happens to all of us. So it's not like we can stop it. It is just So as soon as you start looking at the details, the whole thing changes. It takes on a different texture.
Actually, I think that's one of them you touched a little bit, that it's like when I was thinking about it so much, I'm thinking, well, everybody in this vehicle I'm with right now is going to die. Everybody in all of you, everybody in the next 100 years will be dead.
Yeah.
And that's
And how many 100 years have already gone past, and all of those dead people? Wow.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. That's where my head went. I'm like, what is the point to this? I don't understand.
Okay. Now there you go. Now you touched on something there that's really important. If you go to a psychologist with a anxiety or any problem that you go to the psychologist with, they're going to try and give you meaning and purpose in life. And
Yeah,
if you've got meaning and purpose, you're going to feel okay about things. But partly because that meaning and purpose covers up what's really going on.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I
So,
understand that.
so to accept the reality as I see it, that is that there is no point. There never was a point. We get born, we live, we die, full stop. And maybe on the way we'll procreate and give others a chance to get to live and die.
So obviously I'm telling myself a story that's not acceptable because it can't be that big, just that.
Hmm.
Like it's too much of a struggle just for that.
Yeah. So a lot of people go to religion and others go to alcohol and whatever, so a lot of reasons for a lot of ways to escape the anxiety that goes along with all of that one. But it's totally unnecessary. All we've got to do is look at it and it changes.
Well, I hope that I don't know. Yeah, to say I guess looking at it, like I looked at my thread yesterday. I went straight to bed when I got home. I just didn't want to face. I just didn't want to be around anybody, anything, even more so than I normally am. Like I just felt the heaviness, the sadness, and
Hmm.
it helped. It moved, but not a, not enough.
Did you accidentally or otherwise see the sweetness in that sadness?
No, I remember you asking me that one time. Actually,
Uh,
when I was driving home, I'm like, no, there's no sweetness this time. No.
well, maybe there wasn't. You just didn't see it.
Oh, well, it was, no, it was very heavy.
Hmm. But even
Yeah.
the heaviest stuff is not black and white. Even the heaviest stuff has got a mixture.
Hmm.
It takes viewing it from a different perspective to see the other things, but
Yeah.
nevertheless, they're there. Yeah. I mean, it seems perverse of me, but I just love it when shit turns up. It's so good that there's an opportunity that wasn't there before.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, that doesn't sound great.
I think it's excellent. I couldn't think
Oh,
of a
well,
better way to cope with it.
oh my goodness.
Uh,
So your thing for me is the details, eh?
the details is a great technique for, and again, the well, a valuable thing that can come out of that is for you to recognize the difference between conceptual story
Yeah.
and what
Yeah.
is actual. And the only thing that's actual is what's in the body.
Yes. That is, I have a note on my desk to actually, stop and recognize that because I'm constantly in a story, which I recognize a lot, but doesn't it doesn't do anything. It stops like for a second. It's like, oh yeah,
Mm.
but that still doesn't change what's going on for me by
Okay.
recognizing that.
Mm.
Not yet, I guess.
So a good technique you can add to that. I mean, there's always more that we can get into, learn about, and so on. But a great technique is okay, so when you recognize a story is there, the implication is it shouldn't be there. We don't want it. Well, that's not true. That's not the way to go about it. The technique again is to simply recognize that there's a story and it will be evaluated for usefulness. That'll happen automatically.
By what?
Well, don't worry about why what. I don't know what. Just by you,
Okay.
just
Okay.
by something.
By my
Now,
habits, though, by my circumstances, by my upbringing, by my
well,
conditioning,
it,
you mean?
it'll be the fact that you're evaluating, the fact that you're seeing that it's a story immediately is outside of what you've learned, outside of your upbringing and your conditioning.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And what that does is it puts the story into a different perspective. And that perspective allows possibilities to turn up.
Okay. Okay.
So we're let's say we've moved to a different level of inquiry now, where we're starting to where we originally went, all stories are a problem. Now we're going, you know what? There are some that are quite useful, right? And so we're starting to evaluate whether they're useful or not. Now there's a couple of tools you can use that come to mind that are really helpful with this. The first one is, if it's a story about me, it probably
Yeah,
belongs in the useless basket.
that's going to be a big basket.
Yeah, sure, it will be, but it is a big basket. It can hold a lot. Okay. Or we keep emptying it. We keep opening the bottom and letting them fall through into the fire or something. Yeah.
Waiting for a good one. Yeah.
Yeah. But if it's
Okay.
descriptive, if it's just descriptive, that is, if it doesn't, if it's not meaningful, if it's not evaluation in terms of judgment, if it's just descriptive, then it probably falls in the useful basket. And that usefulness might simply be that then allows us to look at what's going on in greater detail. So if it's descriptive, is a good clue. It's like the ones about me are always going to be judgmental. They're all about value.
That would be the same if they're about other, I'd
Yeah,
assume.
well, yeah. And if we're talking about other, then we're probably really talking about ourselves. There's a good chance.
That one's hard to see right now.
Yeah, especially if we've got really shitty people in our life. I mean, these are not categorical, but they're a good indication.
No, I could see the ones that it's generally mostly all about me, and
Mm,
I have been saying useful or useless, or and then that just doesn't happen a lot, but I could
mm,
see if it were to take place more. I don't know, I guess I'll find out.
mm.
It just seems that like it's that doing that in itself is useless. My mind will say, like, that's the fuck you doing that for? It's not changing anything, you know? So what?
Yeah. Well, here's another one of these memes. I call them memes that works well. That is that every experience we have changes us.
Oh wow. Hmm.
The implication for that one is that we know at an intellectual level that it is unique. Every experience is brand new.
No, not well, it certainly doesn't feel that way
No.
at all, ever,
But
really.
again, details. If you look at the details, you'll start to see the difference. If you don't look at the details, it can seem like it's the same thing again and again.
Yeah.
Mm.
I mean, time to look at details during the day is hard
Yes, I get that.
when
And
you're stuck
there's no
in.
problem with what I call taking it to the lab. Go do it later, right?
Mm,
So if you're having some kind of an experience that says this is worthy of looking at the details, but I don't have
mm.
time now, make a note and do it when you get home. Do it later. If you keep putting it off, well, that's telling you something too.
And the fact that I find it hard to recall
Yeah, that's why you write
anything.
it down. Yeah.
But I mean, to go back to the feeling even, or what I was thinking.
Yeah. You don't have to have a full-on re-experience of the feeling, but you'll get a flavor of it simply by repeating a key sentence about that situation.
Okay. 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 That sounds doable.
Mm.
Mm. Details, eh? Thank you. I'm gonna set my day off a little better than it started.
Thanks, Jenny. Well, I'm glad of that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
I'm gonna jump in and sneak some time before I have to fall off this chair that I'm sitting on.
Okay.
Because just because I just need to speak for a second. You know, for me, it's like now, like 5 o'clock in the morning, right? So when I first jumped on this call a couple of hours ago, it was like,
The middle of the
uh,
night.
yeah, well, but here's the thing: if I were to describe it, it was like um, that I felt like I was in a really scary horror movie or something, or like it's hard to even try to put labels on it. All the stories kept popping up, whatever. I've had so many experiences in opposite directions for the past week that are just really taking me in circle after circle after circle, and of course, two things that really I guess I feel like I'm sort of bearing witness to, because everything that I needed to see or hear was right there for me when I got on the meeting, right? So it's just been everything that I needed. And the it's so funny because I guess if I had to explain what it's been like for me for the past week, it really is like that old thing where you have the devil sitting on one shoulder and an angel sitting on the other shoulder, and they're just taking turns playing with me, you know. And it's like, and the moods and the attitudes and the worries and the scariness and everything will just like, it's coming like weather changing constantly. And I know there's I mean, like the thoughts keep coming up. It's like, are you sure you're not bipolar or something? You know, no, really, that's being comical because that thought never entered. But a lot of thoughts do enter. So, and I think that's pretty normal. I mean, everything that I could listen to Tammy talking about is, yes, it's part of, yeah. I mean, I can feel every bit of it so much, and it is part of the deal. I mean, but the things that really came across were, it's just how it actually moves on its own.
Mm.
It moves on its own. I don't have to do a fucking thing. I can cry when I want to. I can scream or yell or be panicky. You know, this kind of started in the last meeting that I was in, because I was on with just without my picture, but just there listening to it, having a wonderful experience listening to the meeting for about an hour and a half. And then I happened to get a call on my phone, and it's someone that doesn't usually call me or talk. So I took the call really quickly, thinking it was going to be quick, and it ended up being an uh, hour and 15 or 20 minutes or something later. And I had completely sunk from this beautiful, wonderful place where I was to this really hell, you know. And you know, it's just kind of, it's been a roller coaster ever since of so many things. And then it's interesting, well, because it's really the thing about not having any control. I mean, that's so clear to me now. It's like, I don't do anything. I can't do anything. I can see it so clearly. It's like, why was it not that obvious to me before? You know, that I don't really care what, you know, what it is. It's kind of like, if I take credit and say, oh, isn't this wonderful that this happened? You know, it's just that's what's noticing. And even the little things, the other thing too, and I guess this is the two things that I really wanted to say, because is um, that thing about, because life is taking care of me, period. Period. I mean, no other discussion there. I can feel like crap. I can be worried. I can want to talk to someone. I can want to scream. I can want to yell. And the and all of that, I just now just kind of sit and look at it. Well, okay, here we go again. So for like about a solid week, it's been like throwing me around like a damn rag doll. It's like, and it's been from every extreme I could think of. I've had several blissful experiences, and it's interesting how when it's really blissful, and you just think everything's perfect, and this is like, how could life get any better? This is the most beautiful sweetness, and you just want to do something to celebrate. And then then I start questioning, why do I need to do something? What's that all about? I can, but and then I can do. I've had a couple of times where one night I just went and sat out on my balcony and was gonna, I guess, meditate for a bit. I mean, it's freaking hot over here. I know it's winter where you are, but like it was like close to 100 degrees. But I was gonna sit on my balcony and meditate, which, yeah, meditate has its whole flavor too. But anyway, the point is that I went someplace that I've never been before. I don't know where I was. I can't, I wouldn't even try to describe it. It's like I wasn't asleep, had no idea, but I was completely fine. I mean, it's like I didn't think about it being fine or good or bad or anything. I just thought, I didn't think. That was it. There was no thoughts. And I didn't even realize that I wasn't there in the body, or I didn't realize anything until I heard a voice. It was my neighbor's voice, and it felt like it was inside my head. And this voice, and then I started thinking, well, isn't that interesting? That's Rebecca's voice. And then I thought, why is it inside my head? And then I thought, where am I? And then I kind of had to, I think I at some point just opened my eyes or something, and it's like, oh. And it was like, I'm not saying it was a blissful experience or a bad experience. It was just like really cool, really kind of, and to the point where I didn't even feel like I could, because Rebecca, she was my neighbor and she was out on her phone, talking to someone, but I could hear her voice. And I thought, I don't even feel like talking. It took me a good 20 or 30 minutes where I couldn't really do anything other than just stand in the middle of my room. I mean, and then sometimes it's the opposite, where I feel like I have so much energy moving through my body that there's this urge to, I got to do something. And then it's just me standing there looking at that going, well, what's that all about? Now, I will say the coolest thing of all was it one experience that I had, don't know how long it took, how many minutes, whatever, where I was, but it was the one about understanding there are no answers. There are no answers. I mean, we can ask all these questions we want. Well, I mean, I can ask any question that I want. There are no answers. And so the longer that I was in this space and just noticing, it's like, well, isn't that interesting? Because that mind of mine was still trying to figure out how to understand and make an answer. And it was creating stories right in front of my eyes on how, a story about anything. And I kept going. And at some point there was like this nonverbal dialogue, of thought of saying or something like to the mind, you just, you see the writing on the wall. You just need to give up. You're never going to figure anything out because there is no answers. And I remember, I mean, I remember all the things that I've heard here on meetings before and other people say. So it was really, then it's kind of funny, like, oh, okay, that's what they're talking about. But that was the coolest thing in the world, because, and talking about, I heard you say this a few minutes ago, how freeing that was. How freeing, because when we're in those other states, we have 99,000 things going on in our head about, what about this? What about that? What about if I do this? What should I do? How should, and all these questions. And it's like, now I could say, there's no answers. And there's kind of, I won't say that I know anything, because I can't even refer to myself as I anymore. Usually I say this because I'm very clear, but yet there's still darkness. And I'm talking about, like, seriously, when I got on this meeting, I felt like I was in one of those, I don't even watch them, so I can't give you any names of them, but those stupid fucking movies where they're horror stories and someone's going to jump out and whatever and do stuff. And it was like, you're just terrified. You're in a state of terror. And I could not tell you what that was about. There's no way I could even say what the terror was or what it was. It was just like terror and feeling it and not being able and just kind of walking around restless. One more thing I'm going to say is this thing, because last week or so when we talked, we were talking about hugs. That's about getting a hug. And so the neighbor whose voice I had heard the other night, I was out on my patio again, or balcony tonight or later last night, whatever it was, and still sitting there just really quietly and kind of had my eyes closed. I won't say it was meditating, but anyway, and I heard her voice again, and I went, I'd heard a noise, and I turned around and looked down the parking lot. She was sitting in her car on the phone, and she does that quite a bit. So I thought, oh, okay. So she was sitting there on the phone, and then after a few minutes, I got up and walked and went in the house, and everything in my house like was completely dark. I had no lights on, no TV, no noise. It was just completely dark. And I'm like standing in the middle of the room because I'm at that point where there's nothing that I want to do. I don't really find enjoyment much in television or doing anything. There's, I mean, it's an uncomfortable place if you're, like used to just being a doer all the time. But all I could do was just stand there and think, I don't need anything. I don't really want anything. I don't know what to do. Why do I think I need to do something? I don't really want to go to bed. It's like, and just having this and just standing in the middle of the room. And then I get this little knock on my door. It's Rebecca. Now, I haven't seen her since that time I was talking to you and you were saying about asking for hugs. And so she's really good at hugs. So I opened the door and she was bringing me some food that she'd made. And I just said to her, can I have a hug? And I immediately took the plate, put it down on my table, and she's really good at hugging, a really good hug. And we just hugged for the longest time. I didn't count the seconds, but it was the longest time. And even when I tried to kind of let go a little bit, she went, no, I'm not done. Like,
Good. What a wonderful person to have in your life.
And so then, when that happened, I immediately, tears just started falling out of my eyes and like crying. And it looks like to anyone else that I'm like this little old fragile lady that's fallen to pieces as they're sitting here crying. And she, of course, immediately stepped in my apartment, and we closed the door and sat on the sofa. And she was, I could tell she was concerned. And I went, I'm fine. I really am. I'm okay. It's just, and she was like, okay, but you could tell it wasn't. And we did chat for a little bit, but I know in her, whatever, I don't know anything. So but we did chat, and that did happen. And it's like, I cannot have any control. Well, because I can't do anything. There's no me to do anything. And that, and there's no answers anyway. So it's like, it's such a freedom, but sometimes you don't remember that freedom now. And it's like, 'cause it's still so new to me. And I'm like, wait, this is a give and take. And one other thing, I said one thing, but here's another one. This is popping out. Because it's so insidious where our pointers come from. And that's the reason I say this over and over again. Life will bring you, because that is a genuine experience of this. Because there's some stupid movie I won't say stupid, it was Emmy nominated, so it's got to be a good movie. But some movie was on that did not really appeal to me or whatever. But it, I decided, well, I was a couple days ago, I decided I was going to watch it. I think I watched 10 or 15 minutes of it, and then I wasn't interested. It didn't grab me. And then a couple days go by, and I saw it pop up on my feed, continue watching. And I said, oh, I'll watch it a little bit more and see. And I did. And 15 minutes into it, and then it wasn't applying. And then for some reason earlier today, some time. And I said, well, I'll just turn the TV on for watch a little bit. And this movie popped up. And this time I said, okay, I'm going to stick with it. Now, Vince, this was something that I kind of confided into you several days ago when we had a personal talk that about the most traumatic event in my life that had to do with my son. And what's interesting about that is there was a monologue in this movie with the main character where she actually echoed some words from my heart that just, it's like I was ripped apart. And this is a movie that, bear in mind, for several days now, it's just been popping up and I'll watch it and I'll turn it off, whatever. But today it's like I stuck with it and it opened up and something in me that triggered. And so it really took me to the lowest low that I've been to in a very long time. And probably what a lot of this terror is coming from, because then also I realized how much pain was in the body. But I also realized that pain was something that this body had been carrying for all those years because it wasn't felt or accepted or even recognized or what.
Yep.
And then of course the whole story around that incident comes up, because it's one of the stories of me that came up and all those stories. So then I'm living all afternoon in that story, and of how so many things were ripped from me or done to me, and how this responded and where it's come to now, and the whole story. And then what's interesting about that is when my neighbor came over and when we hugged and when we were sitting talking, and just the way the conversation went, what I realized is that movie triggered, and it triggered to the point where, yes, I did experience pain. And I'm going to admit this, I mean, like, because it was true for me. It was so much pain, physical pain, that I did not feel like, and so much hurt from that particular time when that happened, that I had a sense of wondering whether or not the body was going to be able to stand it or to take it and to survive it. And it was completely fine with me to say, that's okay. If you need to let go and need to do this, then that's okay. And then I just let myself go there until I drifted off into somewhere, nowhere. And then I'd forgotten, but I was still carrying that deep hurt. But then when I was talking to my neighbor after we hugged, and what I realized is it was the story that I was responding to, because I'd gotten all tied back up in that story and realizing there was no one that did anything to me. I didn't do anything. Nothing had been done to me. And I did not do anything. And there was no one else doing anything. And I know that's a big gap, to go there. I don't understand anything. And that's the one thing, after realizing there are no answers, then I know I don't even ask questions anymore. I'll be curious about something, but I don't even ask questions anymore, because it's like life is going to take care of this better than I ever did in all of the years preceding that I've been using this body and motivating. Any of the decisions I made, scared to death to make any decisions on my own, trying so hard to make the right ones, and now realizing there's no such thing. And I also realized that there's a huge, vast area there of just not knowing, that is freeing, but it's also frightening. And so, it's like I honestly say I don't know anything. I don't know anything. I don't probably, when I would speak to someone, if I was speaking about experiences other than this group, then it would be, you have been doing this for so long and are so used to it or comfortable with it that you say the right things and do the right things. I probably have a feeling that mine would be much more awkward and not gracious or expressive smoothly or concerning. But it's it would be nice if I could fall into a comfort zone there so that I could at least for the rest of the days I have here be able to contribute um,
Oh,
in a
that'll
positive
happen.
way.
That'll happen for sure. Don't
Yeah.
worry about that, Pam. You've got
Yeah.
a good way of expressing yourself. Yeah. So two things came up for me as you were talking there. One, I wanted to go back to when the tears came when you were hugging your neighbour, right? We need to educate people. Well, I just put it in these terms. It's not really right, but everybody that I know has been conditioned to believe that if there are tears, there's something wrong.
Yeah.
And I frequently, really, in fact, 90, well, I would go as far as to say 100% of the tears that I experience are because something is right.
Yeah.
They come out of just the sheer joy and just beauty and love, and that brings up tears here. Yeah. So if your poor neighbor who's a wonderful hugger thinks that your tears mean that there's something wrong,
Yeah.
you need to educate her that please, I'm feeling so good that I can't hold these tears back. I don't want to hold them back. If they're coming out of a sense of beauty and closeness and connection, that's just lovely. And if she can get that, that's why you're crying, you watch, that'll happen for her too.
Yeah, I'm glad you put it in that way because I had a different perspective on it. You know, she is diagnosed bipolar and um, I think some schizophrenia in there, but I think she's told me before, and she does suffer from migraine headaches, and she's only 29 years old, and I think
Mm,
she's on all kinds of medications, and she's very smart. She has a tendency to want to fix me if
mm,
she thinks that she sees something wrong with me. And
yeah.
so most of the time, the state of mind I'm in these days, because I have actually come to the point where I've forgotten just what life felt like when it felt like hell, just
Mm,
like I
yeah, I
was
get
living in hell.
that.
I've
Mm.
kind of forgotten that. And so these last several days, there have been several times I've gone there and remembered, oh my gosh, this is what I used to feel like on a regular basis,
Yeah.
you
So
know.
that brings me to the second point that came up for me when you were talking. And that is, did you at any time during that awful phrase that happened recognize that this was a healing process that was going on for you?
No, I didn't. Thank you for asking me because I think I was so concerned about possibly trying to manage it or what do I do now or what
Yeah.
and trying to remember what are some of the things I was told to do when this happens, you know. So
Right.
no,
Okay.
I
Well,
didn't.
first thing is we don't want to fix it. We don't want to stop it. We want to let it exhaust itself. And and well, actually, there was a third thing that came up, and that is that your body is not going to give you any experience that you can't cope with. So if you're experiencing it, you know that you can cope with it, right? It's never going to give you more than you can handle. It's not possible. There's an oxymoron there. It can't happen. Right? So even though it feels like
Yeah. Yeah.
it's not, yeah. But the recognition that so what will happen is as we get more experience with this stuff, the lid comes off, the filters weaken, and stuff comes up that we've been successfully avoiding all of our life. But it only comes up the once if we face it head on and we can look at it and accept it because it's the act of it coming up that changes it.
So just a recognition that it's there, and then
Yeah.
and I did actually what you told Tammy earlier is exactly what I've gotten to the point where I can do easily, is even though it feels really uncomfortable and really bad and really scary sometimes, those are all labels I'm putting on it, but that describes the state that I would be in, then I could embrace it.
Mm.
I could just gotten to that point where I could embrace it,
Yep. And that
and
embracing, that welcoming in
yeah.
is the quickest way through it, the quickest way to disarm it, if you like.
Yeah.
There's no resistance. We're not adding to it. We're not covering it up with anything. We're looking at the details of it, whatever shows. And that's the quickest way for it to change. And if it's done enough, it won't come back. Generally speaking, it'll only come back if we push it down again, if we avoid it again.
It is kind of, well, actually, this same neighbor of mine made this comment when she said something tonight about her bipolar, that she tries to keep it controlled so she doesn't go into the manic phase.
Mm.
And she just kind of manages the depressive phase. And she mentioned a manic episode that she had, which I didn't think it was, I didn't consider that a manic, but for her it was, because she's very low key. And so she said something about that she's learned, which this is something that I think is a valuable tool, but I certainly could not. I knew that I wasn't comfortable telling her that, because she said the more that she'll move into the manic phase, the higher the manic phase goes, she
Yeah,
knows
the
what
big
will
the low
follow.
after.
Yes,
Mm.
the lower the extent of the depression.
Mm.
And I do seeing, yeah, and that's just something you can't, that people, yeah,
Yeah.
that was hard to comprehend, but now I get it and I totally understand that. And I think for whatever this is that's going on here, um, I think what has to, it is more about realizing, and correct me if I'm wrong, that there is nothing outside of me. Because there are a couple times, sometimes when I get like at the end of my rope and kind of really frazzled, I'll think, I need to do something. I need to call someone. I need to talk to someone. I need to go do this. I need to go, anything to distract, and uh, when I can look at that kind of objectively, and then even though the body just does not want to sit still, it's like electric currents flowing through it, and you're just almost like climbing the walls. I it appears that that's where that's the only place left to go that I have not tried before. I tried all the other things, the meditating, the exercising, the retreats, the reading, tried all the other things. And I thought that was so precious, precious the other day on a meeting, when a young lady was on there talking about, I'm done with non-duality. I'm done with it. I'm happy now. And it's so obvious to me. Well, yes. And, and I was so happy. I was filled with so much joy. That's the thing. It's the things that are amazing to me. The one conversation that I had, a phone conversation with a friend that called me that day and took me away from the meeting, then that I got so depressed about. Most of the conversation with her, I was totally depressed about, but there was one thing that she mentioned in there about one of the friends that we went to school with. And it was a simple thing. Her husband had died and she has dementia, and now she's in a nursing home. but it was the simplest thing, but she's very happy and has her happy hour every day and stuff. I want you to know that for a good hour or so after that, I would just be filled with tears because I was so happy that this other friend of mine that I haven't seen in years was actually having that experience, and so it's like, it's the craziest thing, but yeah, so it's a back and forth, up and down, all over the place, and it is scary, and it is all kinds of things to this,
Yep.
and and um, and the only things that I could say to anyone else, because is that, yeah, some of the thing, life is going to take care of you. Just sit still. Just, it in the body. If the body needs to do something, it will get up and do it. I mean, I've heard you say that before when you get through with a meeting. Just watch what the body does. It gets up and goes on about its stuff and does things, and half the time I'll be really in a good state in my mind because the meeting's been good and really helped me so much, just listening to other people. And even when people are in that spot, like a lot of people are sometimes here when we're talking about, like, really, it's so such an outpouring of goodness on the people that are experiencing it. And I mean, here, just listening to it. And so I don't think I don't think we feel that or understand that when we're in the midst of it. But it's one of those things to be reminded of, is because and that is the thing. I think life will tell you, life will show you, if you get a chance to speak during the meeting and want to speak. If you don't, whatever, it's like life is giving you exactly what you need. And I'm learning to take a look at that and go, okay, see, part of me might have thought or wanted something else over here, or this or that, but then it's like, no, this is what life's given me. Let me look here, which I think, I have a sneaky feeling, is what's kind of developing that intimacy that I hear people talk about. That is, this has never really given that much effort or thought to. So that intimacy of, it's here, the answers are here, whatever. But it is, yes, yeah, I think I'm out now. I think that's it.
That's
So,
great. Yeah.
so
Yeah.
who knows what the next couple of days will bring, an up or down, whatever. It's like,
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Isn't that great too? Yeah. We'd have
and
no. Yeah.
I just want to validate something else I think you said I don't know if it was to me or someone else recently, about how I actually have come to the point where I kind of think, well, there's this one old monk that I used to listen to, and he used to say, I just get up in the morning now and fill up my skin suit, and look for and just see where the great adventure is going to take me. And that's kind of what it is like. The kind of looking is like with a curiosity and a hopefulness, even, or not even hopeful, I don't, whatever it is, but a curiosity about what is life going to bring now. And it is actually well worth the wait, whatever it takes to get to this point, wherever this point is. I have no idea, but yes. So waiting to see what life happens. And I think that's, sometimes I feel like an idiot, because the other day when I had a beautiful experience with my oldest daughter, it was absolutely beautiful and very healing. I did have a sense of knowing that was a very healing meeting and discussion. And then, the next day I could be crying about something that triggered me, about that happened like 50 years ago. It's like, so it's kind of like, I feel like which I think is the reason people get worried about me, like, because that is such a difference. I mean, here, I don't think people, I mean, I think people understand more or listen, or maybe even can vibe a little bit with it, but yeah. Okay. Update on me now. I'm out. I'm going to I mean, and to me it's 5:30 in the morning, so I'm gonna maybe at some point go back to bed. Who knows? Go eat that food that my neighbor brought over last night. But it's been a joy and a blessing for me to be here. And for Tammy, my heart always goes out to. So I hope you're listening, Tammy. You can hear that, because my heart always goes out to Tammy, and I always benefit and so much from listening to her. And I'm smiling the whole time, but it's not because I think it's funny. It's because I think it's beautiful and normal and just what it's supposed to be. And that's I hear you mentioning that same thought, and I know it just falls on deaf ears if you're not there to understand that. I get that, because I was there too. So I think that's the reason I'm smiling most of the time with that. So I'm like it's like sometimes I'll laugh at something that's going on, like the little girl that was talking about, I'm leaving non-duality now, and I'm like, you go, girl. And she will be back. So but it's but it's all good. Thank you. Good night. Good morning. Be blessed.
I am blessed that you're here. I'm pleased that. Thank you. Dom, how are you?
Oh, hey. Yeah, I'm good. Enjoying just listening in. Not much to report really. Just juggling a couple of things, so my mind is a bit sort of in different places. But yeah, still enjoying the stories, still not feeling like I want to read much spiritual stuff or anything like that. It was actually quite interesting just hearing that idea of like, it's much, well, I do have a routine in the mornings, which is basically I like to have an hour before I leave the house where I get up, have a coffee, sit. I normally read the story, have a little exchange with the bot, but it's much more loose these days now. It's like, just sort of feel what's going on and just sort of let things unfold a bit. I don't have this very like need to do these things before I go out. You know what I mean? All of that, it seems to be much less dominant or whatever.
That's a pun. I'll excuse you for that. It's dominant. Dom.
Yeah.
Dom. But yeah. Okay. Yeah. But all right. So here's an interesting one. That's Feta 3 stuff, letting go, right? The rites and rituals,
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. And I think I have, I mean, you know what it's like, because I started on this kind of path, whatever you want to call it, 20 odd years ago, and got very into certain structures and certain formal practices and systems, and and definitely even within 12 step and within Buddhism and with all that, there's an attachment for sure, because there's a fear of letting those things go and feeling like, if I let them go, am I just going to slide into chaos? And you know what I mean? So there's a sort of little bit there going, are you sure you can sort of just do this and not sort of do what you're supposed to be doing? But yeah, I mean, I'm just sort of seeing what happens.
Great.
Yeah, beyond that, not much to report. I'm working away, doing a lot of writing at the moment.
Well, that's good. Being expressive is always great, eh?
Beg your pardon?
being expressive is always great.
Oh yeah, and I'm finding it much less frustrating than I have in the past. I'm not quite sure what that's to do with.
Well, you're not working as hard at it, maybe letting more stream of consciousness stuff happen.
Maybe it just seems to be flowing a bit more easily. I think it's when you say not working as hard at it, or I can't remember the phrase you just used, but it's something to do with being a little bit more comfortable, if that's the right word, with not knowing the outcome. So, you know, whereas if you're constantly going, I need to know how this works and how this finishes, or I need to know, you know what I mean? You're constantly blocking yourself and just kind of going, okay, well, I don't know yet. That'll sort itself out further down the line, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
And,
if you've got an end point, you've got to shape everything to fit it, you know, but whereas this is the opposite.
Yeah. And just the sort of desire to have a sort of resolution also kind of blocks the flow a little bit, you know. I think that's been something that I've really learned quite a lot, if that's the right word, in doing this over the last year or so, is sort of being more comfortable with going, I mean, even to the point of like a decision to whether to go, I need to go and do something. Should I do it tonight or should I do it tomorrow? You know, it's like, I can't know right now. So a decision will get made. You know what I mean? That sort of thing.
Perfect. Yeah, I love it. Yeah.
And so I think when you can apply that to creativity, it sort of just eases it a bit, you know?
Yeah. You see, creativity is probably not the right word because it sounds like we're doing creating.
Yeah.
So, but really it's a case of watch the expression.
Yeah.
And that's really what the creativity stuff is, isn't it? It just happens.
Yeah. Trusting that it will just happen. And that sort of where there's sort of natural impetus and just let it be there, you know? So yeah, you know.
Right. Yeah, good stuff. Well, thank you, Dom. I love
thank you.
Good news stories. Yeah. All right. Well, I'm going to go now. Seeing as how everybody's happy and that's hilarious, isn't it? But okay. Yeah.
Thank you, Vince. Truly appreciated. Sending you my heart. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Tammy. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks, Vince. Thanks, guys. See you soon.
Bye.